Hi everybody, welcome to Shell Lectures. So today we'll be dealing with class 11 NCERT chemistry topic, that is some basic concepts of chemistry. Some basic concepts of chemistry. So before getting into this topic, we must first know what the importance of chemistry is. What is the importance of chemistry? So chemistry, as we know, it's used in diverse areas, like it's used in food industries, it's used in the production of healthcare products, and it's used in the production and manufacture of various other things. Okay, it's a very helpful aid in manufacturing industry, and it directly or indirectly leads to the development of a country's economy. So also a lot of dyes, perfumes, then polymers, everything, in every single manufacturing we need chemistry. That is, we need some chemical compounds which play a very important role in such kind of products. Also we have a lot of other things like there are two drugs which have to be noted down here, cisplatin and taxol. Cisplatin and taxol. These two are very important drugs which are used in the treatment of cancer. Okay, so they are also used to treat severe diseases, and also some radioactive isotopes are used for the treatment of several diseases that we would have learned in our lower classes. And then we have a drug known as azithromycin. Which is used for the treatment of AIDS patients. So we have a lot of other chemical compounds which are being used to treat the deceased patients, and also we have we can produce several alternatives, chemical compounds as alternatives to CFCs, chlorofluorocarbons. Okay, instead of chlorofluorocarbons we can produce other chemical compounds as alternatives, because the CFCs are the main sole reason for the depletion of stratosphere. Stratospheric ozone layer. So they are the main reason of depletion of the stratospheric ozone layer. So instead of CFCs we can go with other alternative substances, and those alternative substances can be only thought of with chemistry. They can only be prepared in chemical laboratories because they are chemical substances, and then also we have a lot of other industries where the chemical compounds are being used. So by learning the chemical principles properly, we can do miracles with chemistry to aid to the development of nation and also to the society. So for that, we must first know what are the basic concepts which are related to chemistry, and that's what we are going to learn about in this lesson. So the topic itself says some basic concepts of chemistry. Yeah, come on, let's get into the lesson. So first we must know what is matter. What is matter? Anything that we see around us, and it must occupy space, and it must have a specific mass. So anything which has mass and occupies some kind of a space is known as a matter. Okay, and this chalk, it has some kind of mass and it occupies some space, so it's a matter. Okay, so matter is nothing but anything which occupies space and has a specific mass. So matter is there are three states of matter. It's a very well known topic, a lullaby that we have been hearing since childhood. States of matter: solid, liquid, gas. So the three states of matter are solid, liquid and gas. So in solid, for example, let me draw how the particles will look like in solid. So what I mean is, there are no intercellular spaces as far as solids are concerned. No intercellular space. So there is no freedom for the particles, for the constituent particles to move. No freedom to move, no intercellular space, and they have definite shape, and also they have definite volume. So the intercellular space is very less, and the freedom to move is also not there, and they have definite shape and definite volume. For example, the constituent particles in this solid will be in this manner. That is, they will be very closely packed, so their mass and density will also be very high, and they have no intercellular space, no freedom to move, and they will be having definite shape and definite volume. Come on to liquid. In liquids, in liquid, you can find less intercellular space. Some intercellular space you can find, as you can find here. So there is a freedom to move, though not much. There is a freedom to move, and it has a definite volume. Of course, it has a definite volume. But what about the shape? What about the shape of liquids? Do they have any shape? For example, if I am pouring water on the ground, does it occupy any, does it obtain any shape? No, am I right? But if I am putting it into a container, then it will assume the shape of the container. So we can say that the shape of a liquid is solely determined by the shape of the container. What is the shape of the container? If it's a very big vessel, then the shape of the water will change as it is. If it's a very small water bottle, then it will be changing its shape as it is. So the shape of the liquid is only determined by the shape of the container, because the liquid assumes the shape of the container. And then we have gas, where the constant particles are very loosely packed. Here less compactly packed, here less compactly packed, here loosely packed. Loosely packed, and hence the freedom to move is very high. Okay, the particles can move here and there, and the intercellular spaces are also very high. The intercellular spaces, okay, the intermolecular spaces are also very high, and then it doesn't have a definite shape, and also it doesn't have a definite volume. Okay, whatever, the gases don't have definite shape and definite volume. So how can we know the transition between solid to liquid to gas? There is solid, liquid, gas. Solid, liquid, gas. So when you heat solid, you will be obtaining liquid. Am I right? When you heat the solid, you will be obtaining liquid, and when you heat the liquid, you will be obtaining the gas. Am I right? But when you are freezing the gas or cooling the gas, it will get liquefied, or that means it will turn into liquid, and when you are still cooling the liquid, it will turn into solid. So this is a common process which explains the transition between the three states of matter. There is also a transition between solid to gas directly without getting into the liquid phase, and that is known as sublimation. But we have not spoken about sublimation in this lesson. We are not going to speak. Only this has to be remembered. Okay, very easy. Solid when heated gives liquid, and liquid when heated gives solid gas. And the inverse happens. When the inverse happens, we have to cool. Okay, so now let us see what are the two types of matter. So the two types of matter are pure substance and mixture. So the word itself says pure substance. So it's made of only one kind of particles. Okay, or we can say a pure substance can be defined in other manner as all the constant particles which are in a pure substance, all the constant particles which are in a pure substance are of the same chemical nature. Okay, they will be of the same chemical nature. For example, if you take water, or if you take glucose. Okay, so all of these are pure substances, that is, all the constant particles in them are of the same chemical nature, and they are made of very, that's what it's known as a pure substance. Okay, and then you can't separate things like this. Can you separate hydrogen and oxygen from water, or can you separate carbon, hydrogen and oxygen from glucose? No way. Am I right? So pure substances have several characteristics which we will be dealing in the next video. So pure substances are, that's all. The constant particles are of the same chemical nature. What about mixture? The word itself says mixture. So a mixture of several pure substances of different chemical nature. So it will consist of a lot of types of particles, and each particle will have different chemical nature, and thus the entirety will be so different. Okay, so mixture is nothing but a mixture of substances. The type of particles will be so different, so their chemical nature is also going to be so different. and then they are made up of two or more pure substances, and they may be present in any ratio. If possible, they can also be separated. They may be present in any ratio. For example, here we can take air. So what are the components of air? There are a lot of things. Am I right? Oxygen, nitrogen, carbon dioxide. So all of these are not present in the same ratio. They are present in different ratios. So they are present in different ratios, and that's a mixture of different types of substances, and that we can come to know from here: oxygen, nitrogen, and carbon dioxide. And if wished, we can separate the substances of a mixture. So we have two kinds of mixtures, which are homogeneous mixtures and heterogeneous mixtures. And then pure substance, we have element and compound. So regarding these things we'll be dealing with in the next video. Okay, so from this part we'll be dealing with in the next video. So this is just an introduction to the first lesson of class 11 NCERT chemistry lesson 1. So that's it. In the next video I'll be dealing with the detailed description of all of these things. Okay, till then stay tuned to all of my videos. Subscribe to my channel if you have not done so far. Like and share this video to whomever you want. Thank you.